Good morning and welcome to the Self-Love Habit Masterclass. I am so happy that you are here. This is for you. This is for you, Keith. This is for you, Miriam. This is for you, you, Louise. This is for me. And that's what self-love is all about. It's about ourselves helping to love other people. T.S. Eliot once said that to love at all is to be vulnerable. And I have to say, I really agree with him, because when we love other people, we kind of have that sense of leaving ourselves open to be hurt, to be vulnerable. And I think that self-love, in fact, is one of the most courageous loves of all, because it asks us to dig deep within inside ourselves and find parts of ourselves that can be difficult to love. So today is about you. I am joined here, as you can see, I have the amazing Keith Walsh on my right-hand side, and myself and Keith go way back. Well, yes, we do actually, don't we?
It's a long, we go way back.
Way. And we basically, it's not the first time we've shared a stage, because we were in drama school together.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually the last time we were on a stage together was a Chekhov play.
It was Chekhov, yeah.
Yes. You had a big part and I had a tiny part. So I'm getting my revenge now, Keith. That's what this is about.
I'm the bit part now.
Anyway, enough of Keith. It's about me.
It's funny actually, in that I played the crazy uncle, and now I am a crazy uncle.
Yeah, that's true. You did.
How times have changed.
Or not. So Keith is a broadcaster, a presenter, an MC, and has an incredible podcast called, wait for it, are you ready? The Keith Walsh Podcast.
Took me a while to come up with that one.
That was brilliant. That was very clever.
Inspired. Well, I do love myself.
He loves himself. So please do check it out if you haven't already. It's an amazing podcast with brilliant guests, and Keith has just such a lovely, natural way, and I'm actually delighted he's here with us this morning. Myself and Keith are going to have a really good conversation later on, talking about his own journey with mental health, and I think it's something that is very inspirational, and I've been watching Keith over the last number of months, and just seeing Keith being very open and honest, and I think that's something that is really important for us all to do, and is a huge part of self-love. And then I have the beautiful, absolutely stunning Miriam Kerins Hussey on my left. And Miriam is a qualified pharmacist. She is a health and wellness coach, a meditation and yoga facilitator, and the co-founder of Soul Space. And this is, if you don't know Soul Space, you need to find out about this community. It is exactly that. It is such a beautiful space for people to come together. And Miriam, if you haven't met her, if you haven't been fortunate enough to meet Miriam, you literally exude beautiful energy. So that is why I'm so delighted that you're here today to help really, I think you exude self-love, to be honest with you. You have that just natural sort of comfort and ease within yourself, which comes from, I think, a place of inner peace and calmness. So I'm really delighted that you're here with me today, Miriam. Both of you. I love you both.
Thank you so much.
You see, self-love, it just spreads and spreads. And Miriam is going to do a beautiful movement workshop, which will help us to self-soothe and also look at how we can actually, because a lot of anxiety and stress, as you know, Miriam, is held in the body, isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the thoughts, feelings and emotions can literally get trapped within the physical body. And more than anybody, emotion is energy in motion, so it needs to be moved out. So physical exercise, movement is a wonderful way of changing our internal biology, our chemistry, our physiology, and also from that emotional standpoint, helping to get rid of pent-up frustration, anger, irritations that we might be harboring or holding. So hopefully that's what we'll do today, is help to release some of that in a very easy but gentle and soothing way.
Beautiful, yeah, and that's why I think it is so important to bring movement in. It's like it's one aspect that many people forget about in terms of positive mental health. So thank you, Miriam, absolutely delighted. I'll just tell you briefly why I wrote the book. You can see it here in the background, The Self-Love Habit. The reason I wrote the book was basically in my work every day, I am blessed to meet the most lovely, intelligent, creative, generous, kind, compassionate people who are judgmental, critical, unkind, difficult and hard on themselves. And I have to say that is actually really heartbreaking to watch these really incredible people being really hard on themselves. So for me, I think that self-love is the core of positive mental health. And when, you know, just after all the years of being in one-to-one with people and listening to their stories, I thought this is a book that needs to be written. And it is very much a very practical experience for people to learn, because we kind of hear about, you know, self-love, but how do you actually do it? And again, to break up that misconception that self-love is selfish. It is the most selfless thing that any of us can do. And I really want to, you know, to convey that here today, to show and illustrate how when you love yourself, literally the world becomes brighter for everyone around you. So it's a gift for everyone. Just to say that today is for you. Like when we were thinking about this launch, you know yourself, these days you'd have all sorts of ideas of what's it going to be like, and I imagined outdoors and I imagined all sorts of things. But as is the nature of the world today, the best thing to do is when you're trying to plan something is to realize that it will not go according to plan, and then you just go, that's okay. So there is certainty. There actually is certainty in uncertainty. It's not going to happen the way you imagined. But I couldn't have imagined it better than today in terms of having both of you here with me, and also to have so many of you online. Like that's you know, a perk here, that we can actually really reach and help as many people as we can. So thank you so much for being here. Please do interact. We really want to hear back from you. We're going to be doing polls, we're going to be doing chat. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to really get to specific questions because we have a lot to go through, but please do use the chat function. We want to hear what you have to say. We're going to be putting questions out to you, and we're going to be doing polls. Also, just to say, if you want to order the book, it is published yesterday and you can get it on eSons today. And if you do, it's very worthwhile because you can still be in with a chance to win a prize to come and see me. Imagine that, 90 minutes with me. See how much I love myself. You're getting for free, guys.
We're already winners.
You're already winners, exactly. So yes, if you'd like to do that, you're so very welcome if you haven't already. So first of all, let's go straight to some polls, okay? So I'm just going to read these polls out, and what I'd love you to do is just say yes or no. Don't think about it, okay? Don't think, oh, maybe, or, you know, just the first answer that comes to your mind is always the most authentic and true. So the first one is, do you think self-love sounds selfish? Yes or no? That should be coming up on your screen now. Do you think it is selfish to put your own needs first? Yes or no? Would you like to have a better relationship with yourself? Yes or no? Would you like to have a better relationship with others? Yes or no? And are you content with your level of confidence or self-esteem? Yes or no? So I will read the results of those in a few moments. But as you're just finishing that up, I want to tell you a little story. So it's like, let's just imagine that, you know, it's bedtime and we're getting all cold. Well, not bedtime because it's morning, but, you know, time to just sit back and listen to a nice story. And this is, in the clouds of the distant past, there was a monastery. And it was going through a really, really difficult period of time. And basically there was conflict between the monks and the nuns, and there was internal conflicts and power struggles and all sorts of problems. It was an old monastery in terms of that, you know, it was a sort of dying order. There was a lot of older people, and they hadn't been tending to the garden. They had a beautiful vegetable patch that had completely just, you know, been left to rack and ruin. And there was a really low energy in the place. So it doesn't sound great. So the abbot of the monastery, rather dispiritingly, he went to seek guidance, and he thought, what can we do to help save the monastery? So he went into nature. He went into this old sage who lived in the heart of nature on her own, this beautiful, wise woman. And he went to her and he said, what can we do to save the monastery? And they meditated together. And afterwards she said, do you know what? I really don't know. I don't know what you can do. She said, but I do know one thing. And he was like, yeah. He said, amongst you, there lives a bodhisattva. And he was like, wow, a bodhisattva is an awakened one, an enlightened being. I said, oh, okay. So he went back to his monks and his nuns, and he told them, he said, look, she said, she really doesn't know what we can do. But she did say one thing. She said that amongst us, there lives a bodhisattva, an awakened one, an enlightened being. So over the coming days and weeks and, you know, the monks and the nuns, they started to ponder this. They started to think about it. And they were like, what if it's me, right? What if I'm the bodhisattva? So they started to think, yeah, you know, maybe I'm the one who's so enlightened and brilliant. Or maybe it's you. Maybe it's you, Keith. Or maybe it's you, Miriam. So they started to treat themselves differently, and then they started to treat each other differently. And the whole energy started to change. There started to be a sense of light, there started to be a sense of hope, and they started to like treat each other differently, they treated the land differently, the animals differently, and very soon it became a very thriving order. Young people wanted to join. It was really just a total shift, and it really served the community with love and with hope and everything. So what happened? What do you think, Keith? What do you think, Miriam? What happened? Well, the sage in the woods, the wise old woman, I think, reminded them of something very important. And that is the goodness within ourselves, the potential within ourselves. And it had been forgotten. She reminded them of that. And I think that positive transformation really comes from remembering the goodness in ourselves, that the solution they sought was already there. And that's really all that needed, was a perspective shift, and everything started to go from there. And that is essentially where we get to the whole heart of self-love. So I'm just going to read, that's story time over. I'm just going to read the results here of the polls. Very excited to see what we've got coming in here. Let's have a wee look. Okay, so do you think self-love sounds selfish? We have yes is 27% and no it's 72%. Well, okay, everyone else can just sign off then. You don't need this, right? You're all so selfish. No, that's great. I'm actually delighted. That's really good to hear back, isn't it? Do you think it is selfish to put your own needs first? We have yes at 38% and no at 61%. Okay, fantastic. Would you like to have a better relationship with yourself? We have yes at 99.1% and no at only 0.9%. Okay, that's really interesting. What do you think?
Well, I think it's clear that everybody agrees that, you know, it's not selfish to put yourself first or to love yourself, and everybody agrees that self-love is a good thing. But if you look at the 99%, we just don't
to live it.
We don't know how to live it, or we can't get to, you know, that's where the problem is. We all I agree with what you're saying, but how do I
implement it?
How do I do that?
Yeah. That's what today's about. We're going to show you all. No, but I think that it is really, and that's why I'm so happy to have the polls, to have the feedback, because it really highlights things here that help us to help you, basically. Would you like to have a better relationship with other people? 98.8% of you are saying yes, you would. Okay, well, this is where it starts with the self. I mean, that's where our relationships get better.
But I mean, even that simple story, like if you...
Yes,
the shift in just if you look at somebody else and you think, well, you know, you could be the chosen one, so I better treat you with respect.
Yes.
Or I could be the chosen one, so I better be nicer to myself. And even just that little nugget of information can change things, can't it?
Yeah. It really can, Keith, 100%, yeah.
It just shows the correlation as well between having the relationship with self first.
Yes.
And then if you don't have that, you don't have the relationship that potentially you would desire with others. So how you interact with yourself is how you interact with everybody else. So one affects the other, and it just shows that the answer is there as well.
It really does, Miriam. Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one is, are you content with your level of confidence or self-esteem? And this, to be honest, is an area I see people really struggle with. Self-doubt, feeling not good enough. And we have 9.4% say yes, and 90% say no, they're not content with that. So that again illustrates exactly what we're saying. So without further ado, let us help you today, remembering that it is about you. And what we're going to do now is Miriam is going to bring us through a really lovely, gentle movement workshop. I promise you won't be doing headstands or anything like that. It's really just a way of connecting into yourself. And that's where that journey of self-love really starts, is through that connection in with the physical, with the body, and with acceptance of the self just as we are. So thank you.
Thank you. So hello everyone, you are very welcome to this movement section of today's Self-Love Masterclass with myself, Miriam. I'm thrilled to be here and to be guiding us through this morning. My voice will just be a guide, but I hope it will just be a guide to allow you to listen to your own voice and to connect in with yourself today. So I'd invite you to come into a nice comfortable position. I'm just sitting in an easy cross-legged position, but find whatever works for you and whatever feels nourishing and soothing for your body. And we're going to begin. If you can, I'd invite you to take your left hand and just gracefully and gently place it at your heart center. And then we're going to take the right hand and just let it melt onto the belly area. And then go ahead and just drop the shoulders down and away from the ears. And if you feel comfortable, I invite you to let the eyelids just slightly just flicker closed and bring your gaze to an internal perspective today. If you don't feel comfortable closing down the eyes, that's perfectly fine. You can just lower your gaze to the floor or maybe to the tip of the nose. And we're going to just start today's practice by just connecting in with self. Unplugging from the external world and just using these few moments as a precious gift so that you can just land and arrive here this morning into your body. So just with a nice, slow, deep inhale, I'd invite you to breathe in through the nose and just let your belly rise just very, very graciously and softly. At the top of this inhale, there is a beautiful pause. And then slowly exhaling, and as you do, just letting everything soften. Letting the belly draw back to the spine and just letting any tension from the forehead release. Noticing any tightness or holding or gripping around the jaw or the back of the throat. And just see if you can drop the shoulders and sink the hips even further into the mat or into the floor beneath you. And just continue to breathe. So we're just welcoming ourselves today into our body, into our miraculous life force breath that keeps you alive every single day, and into your incredible heart beating at the center of your chest, giving you life force energy, and into your incredible mind. And as your hands placed on your heart and your belly, just feeling that sense of connection to self this morning, anchoring yourself back home into your heart, into your body, into your breath, and into your mind. And as you feel your hands meeting the body, just acknowledging yourself first and foremost for showing up for yourself and being here today. The sense of touch, just that sense of holding yourself and honoring yourself. And just for a moment before we get moving, taking a moment in this stillness just to listen. What is your heart asking you or calling you to do in this moment? What would nourishing your mind, body, and soul look and feel like? And in this moment, let's just take one more deep, slow, cleansing breath in through the nose. Let the belly and heart rise. Let the lungs expand. The lungs are the wings of the heart, fueling the heart with love and compassion and kindness. And on your exhale, just big sigh out through the mouth. Letting go. Beautiful work, well done. When you're ready, I just invite you to just release out the hands very gently. And we're just going to start with a couple of rolls in through the shoulders. So take a nice inhale, squeeze the shoulders up to the ears. And exhale, big sigh, drop the shoulders back and down. Let's take 2 more of those. Inhale, squeeze. You can even make a fist with your hands and really squeeze any tension or anger that you may be holding in the body today. And exhale, sigh, drop it back down and out. One more time. Inhale, lift and squeeze. Exhale, big sigh, and let it go. Beautiful work. We're going to inhale. We're going to draw the hands nice and wide, bend through the elbows, so big cactus arms. So you're drawing the shoulders back to touch one another behind. Elbows drawing down towards the ribcage, and you're flaring that chest, flaring the heart nice and open. It's a beautiful heart opening posture today. Take an inhale. And on your exhale, you're going to round through the chest. Draw your hands to grab the shoulders, giving yourself a big hug and dipping your chin to your chest, bowing down in gratitude for body and mind today. Really roll through the shoulders. Take an inhale. Let's reach the hands up and out, just opening through the heart, lungs, and chest again. And then exhale, round and bow, going within. Giving yourself a big hug. Let's do one more time. Inhale, open and release. And just using this pose, we're going to hold it here just for a moment. Letting any walls of protection, the barriers around the heart, just seeing if we can let them melt. Seeing if we can let go of any grasping around the lungs, any fear, any worries and doubts. And then exhale, spelling it all out, breathing it all out, rounding and bowing and giving yourself that beautiful hold, that beautiful hug. Well done. And then release out the hands. Well done. I'm going to invite you to give it a little shake. Really shake through the fingers, shake through the arms. We can hold a lot of really anxiety, can be pent up energy, unmoved, unspoken energy out of the body. So let's get it out. Let's move it today. Well done. Shake through the head. Oh, even make any sounds. You're at home. No one's listening to it. So do what you need to do. A few ahs or whatever you need to do. Let it all out. Well done. And then we're going to take the hands to the shoulders, fingers pointing forward, thumb pointing back. And let's inhale, reach and rise, elbows up and then back and down. Big circles through the heart, lungs and chest. Well done. Remember to breathe. The breath is one of the most powerful tools that we can have to shift us from fight or flight, which is our stress state, and into our parasympathetic, which is our ability to heal, to rest, repair, and to soothe. Let's take 3 in the opposite direction. Lift up and back, down and forward. Well done. We're really opening up here. In Fiona's book, she uses 4 pillars. Listen, open is the second one. So we're really opening up here now into the body and into the mind. Well done. And then a little shake, release it out. I'm going to invite you to take your right hand, bring it across onto your left knee, and then inhale and reach your left hand into the sky. Go ahead, give it a little wave, a little rotation into the wrist, maybe a little piano fingers, and maybe flick through the hands, just releasing any stagnant energy. We have lots of energy centers in the palms of our hands that are directly related to the heart chakra. So just really getting those heart centers open today. And then draw that left hand back behind you, come high onto your fingertips. And then with a big inhale, let's take a twist and just look gently, graciously, looking over that left shoulder. Soften and breathe. Let your belly rise. And exhale, beautiful work. Soften. And let's release. Come back to center, reach both hands up. And then opposite side. So left hand comes across to the right knee, right hand to the sky. Again, give it a little shake. Shake through the hands, rotate through the wrist. And then draw that right hand back behind you. And let's take that lovely twist. Gazing graciously, gently over your right shoulder. Releasing any tension from the neck, the head and shoulders. Breathe. Well done. And then drawing back to center. Well done. And one more little shake out through the hands. Beautiful. We're going to release out the legs in front. So just very gently releasing the legs out in front. And if you can, just knees are a little bit wider than the hips. Go ahead and flex through the feet if that's in your comfortable practice today. If not, that's okay. So it's all about finding what works well for your body. And then with a nice inhale, let's raise the hands to the sky. Again, we're opening heart, lungs, and chest. And then very graciously, we're just going to bow forward. So humbly, graciously bowing down. Going within and just reconnecting to your heart center. Breathe. And just as you're bowing down here, maybe your hands come to the floor in front of you, maybe just rest them on your legs, whatever feels most comfortable. Bowing down, chin to chest. And then in this moment, just taking a pause to really be grateful for this incredible body. It's the divine vessel that you have been graciously gifted as your home through this lifetime. Taking a moment to honor all of the incredible, miraculous interactions that are going on deep within your surface right now. Every cell in your body working for you, your lungs breathing for you, giving you life, your heart beating for you, giving you passion and kindness and forgiveness and empathy and love. One more inhale, let's reach and rise, come back up very gently. Draw the hands to prayer over the top of the head, and then slowly, gracefully drawing the hands down through the energy centers, down to meet at the heart space. Well done, beautiful work. We're gently just going to bring the feet in, and we're going to come onto our tabletop position just for a moment. One or two more gentle stretches before we finish out today. So coming into a nice tabletop where your wrists directly beneath shoulders, knees directly beneath the hips. And we're just going to take an inhale, a cat-cow. So on your inhale, allow your belly just to draw to the earth, and then bring your chin and gaze up. Chin to chest, round through your upper spine. Really bring your weight into your hands to give an upper lift into your upper spine, and then you're gazing behind you. Well done. And then one more inhale, belly to the floor, chest shines forward, heart looks forward, gaze towards the sky. Exhale, round. Chin to chest, bowing down, going within. Well done. And from here, you're just going to gently walk your hands forward, hips stay nice and high. We're coming into what we call puppy pose, which is a beautiful heart opener. So sinking your chest and chin to the floor, bowing down in gratitude. And then the last two of Fiona's pillars is V for value. So in this moment, what's one thing in your life that you can truly value? What's one thing you're truly grateful for? One more breath here. Inhale, reach and rise. Beautiful work. Come back to your tabletop position. And we're just going to take a few hip circles here, rounding in one direction, releasing any tension from the hips. The hips is where we can kind of tuck in unexpressed emotions. We can tuck in anger and frustration and irritation. So beautiful one just to release out through. And we're going to
Okay. So Keith, what we're going to do, that was just beautiful, Miriam. Thank you so much. We're just in the middle of like a floating cloud there, and the far distant clouds was ourselves, weren't we, Keith?
I think we just got caught up in it there.
Yeah, we did.
Cut Miriam short. We were
Yeah.
too lost in the moment.
We were too on cloud nine. It was beautiful. Thank you, Miriam. So Keith, we're going to have a good conversation now. Okay. It's going to be good.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
And basically, as you know, you have read the book. You were kind enough to read an early copy of the book and to give your feedback on it. So I was so grateful for that. And one of the main themes, as you know, in the book is what I call the divide itself, or not what I call, what is known, let's say, as the divide itself, where I talk about part A being the beholder, the sort of conscious mind that can witness, if you like. Part B, which is more like the shadow self and the part of ourselves that we tend to hide from the world. You could put it really simply and you could say it's kind of like the public and the private, if you like. But often that shadow part is the one that people feel most uncomfortable with and have the most difficulty accepting. Is that something that you relate to yourself, do you think, when you read the book?
Yeah, but like, it's, yeah, very interesting and really resonated because I suppose my, like, mental health journey or going to therapy or whatever you want to call it, like, has been about trying to meet those two parts or get those two parts together, or just to become one,
Yes.
one person,
Yeah.
not a different version of myself for different people, or
Exactly.
a different version of myself for different scenarios, or, you know, as you describe it well, there's the shadow self and then there's the, like, and it's very difficult. And I think once you become aware of that, and if you read the book, you become aware of it, and you know, when it's presented to you in a way, you kind of go, okay, right, that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
There's different versions, and it's about trying to be your real self and find where are you?
Yeah.
Where did you leave yourself?
Yeah.
And how do you get yourself back to being where you are? And like, there's been moments I've been going to a therapist now for well over a year, and there was always moments where I'd get glimpses of, you'd almost have a flash of just being yourself.
Yes, yeah.
And moments where you kind of, you're pulled back into your childhood and you're like, oh, I remember that feeling. You know, it's almost like you're untangling, you're breaking things down, and you're just like, you know, it's fascinating really when you get those glimpses and those moments where you're just like, this is, and with therapy or with something like this, with the practices in the book, and the great thing about the book is it's not just, you know, you're not just theorizing, you're going, this is how it's going to work.
Yes.
Follow
yeah.
these instructions.
Yeah.
Do
that's
this.
the whole point.
That's
yeah.
the whole point, which is brilliant.
The
you know?
how.
The how. This is how you do it. The glimpses of who you really are just start taking over. So you become more of who you are. You become less passive. You know, I've noticed things about myself. I've become more direct with people. I've become less passive, which includes passive aggressive. You know, I become more, I make decisions about what I want. I'm not a passenger.
Yes, yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah. One of the things that I remember reading you said, and it really struck me actually, was you said, I don't know what the next chapter is, but I know who the author is, so I'll be okay, or something along those lines.
I think it's a famous quote. Like, I don't know what, I mean, I'd made a big decision in my life, and I'd left a job, and I was like, well, I don't know what's the future, but I know the author, so I know I'm going to be okay, you know, and you have to trust yourself.
Yeah.
But it takes time. And that's where this book will come in. It takes time to get to that point where you can see a clarity and start making decisions and be more direct and actually having control over your own life rather than just being a passive passenger.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and all those things. Like this, I mean, as I said to you earlier, this book just kind of came at the right time for me, you know, because I was I don't know, just made so much sense, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And would you say that your relationships have improved? Because one of the polls there that we did was people would, you know, would like to improve their relationships. Do you think that as you have worked on your relationship with yourself, do you feel that it has had a sort of knock-on effect with your family, your wife, your children, your friends? Have you noticed that
Totally.
improving?
And it's kind of like, it's a process, so it can be slow.
Yeah.
Like anything, you can have good days and bad days. But more often than not, I'll have these moments where I'll be like, okay, like even yesterday I was like, okay, so I'm thinking about myself as a younger person, but I have a son who's 12, and there's something in him that I see myself in him, but there can be a tendency for me to treat him like I treat myself, and distance myself from him. Which I notice, like it's something that I struggle with. Like, how can I get closer to him? But I don't really. If I see myself and I don't really like myself, that can cause a barrier.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
So,
and children are amazing at actually picking up on that. They see right through, don't they?
And it's hard because you're aware that there's something off here, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that takes work. And I don't want to be the dad who didn't fix that thing that happened and we don't have the relationship. So it's something I think about a lot.
Okay.
And you know, even those moments where you go, look, well, I'm going to try and, you know, we're homeschooling at the moment, so I'm sort of trying
really
drag him out of the bed and, you know, sort of, you know, be the disciplinarian and all that. So I've kind of like, the other day I said, look, what I'm going to do first of all, as cheesy as it may sound, I said, first of all, I'm going to hug him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell him that I love him. And then I'm going to start being the,
yes, exactly.
Then we get
the
down
priorities.
To
yeah, absolutely.
because it just dawned on me. I was like, I'm not doing that.
But isn't that presence? That's awareness.
Yeah.
It's that conscious. That's the beholder, if you like, in the book, kind of becoming more alive rather than the unconscious, just stress. We've got to do homeschool. We've got to do that. It's like, no, hang on a moment. What's really important in this moment is that my son knows I love him.
Yeah. And,
basically.
And then you can get on with what.
And then
he still has to do.
Still has
to do your English homework though. I love you, but you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. Noticing what's happening, seeing it happen, and figuring out the solution.
Yeah.
Which.
So ultimately, is a gift for him also, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, unless he hates me telling him that I love him and hates hugs.
Oh, they do that. But anyway, Keith, in terms of going to therapy, when you first went, did you feel comfortable, let's say, talking about it in the same way that you do now?
Not about myself, no. I mean, I felt comfortable in that scenario with Luke, my therapist, and I felt I was kind of ready for therapy. It was a very practical decision because men are very practical, and I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of into fitness, I'm okay with my nutrition, I'm okay with this, I've got a strange year ahead of me. I need to make sure that my head is right as well. So in that way, it's a very practical decision. My wife suggested, I was like, yes,
okay,
good. Well done, you.
Tick that box.
Yes, tick that box.
Yes, therapy. Why not?
That done. And with Luke, I was ready to tell him everything, you know. But what happened subsequently surprised me, you know.
Yeah.
And what he talked about was vulnerability, and
yeah.
that's what this is now.
Yeah.
And a man telling you that you need to learn how to love yourself is very vulnerable. Me doing it is super vulnerable.
Yeah.
But this is part of what it is. It's about being vulnerable with the people around you. It's about telling your truth and being honest and saying where you're not comfortable and where you are comfortable, where you're falling down and where you're being successful. It's all those things. It's just an honesty. And so now, I mean, it's taken me a while, but now I'm very comfortable. I will talk to anybody about anything.
So it did take a while, though, like that initial thing when you first...
of course.
Yeah,
I mean, I worked a lot with... I was going to see Luke, you know, every week for a period of time, you know, and then you know, now I check in with him every now and then when I feel like I need it, just to top it up. I mean, I would recommend it highly. Yeah. But any work on yourself and on your mental health is recommended.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a process. But you can see, like, it's still a process. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to figure it out. You know.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be here, kind of a year and a half to 2 years into it, than have not started at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I still have a long way to go. But
yeah. And I think that's a really good point, Keith. It is that sense that people will often think, when am I going to be fixed, or when is therapy going to, work and finish? And it's like, not that you go to therapy for the rest of your life, but you do. I think that relationship with yourself continues through your life, and that's something that we overlook because we're so programmed to look for, like, as if we are problems that need to be fixed, and we're not. We're just lovely, beautiful people that need to understand and know ourselves better quite often. So I'm just going to, sorry to interrupt, Keith.
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Yeah, we can chat now in a second, but I'm just going to put these into the poll. So we want you guys interacting with us again. So I've got a few questions here for the polls, and I'd like you to put in, we'd be really interested to see, have you been for therapy before yourself, yes or no? And if the answer is yes, did you feel comfortable telling your family and friends? And then another one, your work. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes back from that. So please do input that in. Sorry, Keith, you were saying there.
That's the fear as well, isn't it? That people worry about work,
Oh yeah,
telling
absolutely.
people they work with, or might affect their. But one of the most interesting things I felt in the book is early on in the book, where you do the calendar of life.
Yeah.
And that really. It's really something.
The conventional calendar.
Yes,
calendar. Yeah. A lot of people have said that actually over the last few days. Yeah.
Because it's just when you put it out in such stark terms, it's just like you grow up, you behave in school, you do well in school, you get a job, you get another job, you get married, you have 2 kids, then you get another job, then you get a better job, then you retire, then you look after your grandchildren, then you die.
I think the last one I say is, and to die without being a burden, I think is how I put it. So it's quite rather stark.
Stark, but I loved it because you're kind of going, it gives you look at that and you're like, okay, I'm going to mess with that calendar. I'm going to...
Yeah, you're going to shake this thing up.
And I've been speaking to my daughter who's 18 and she's in the Leaving Cert, and I'm just like, don't worry about this conventional calendar that everybody is telling you that you need.
You have to do this now by then. Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
It puts huge pressure on, and it is a block to self-love.
But to see that written down and to have somebody telling you that that's a big block is a huge relief as well to people.
It is.
To feel like, oh, actually, I don't have to do those conventional things that everybody's telling me to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So Keith, we're going to ask you now if that's okay with you. This is where it gets very vulnerable. And Keith completed one of the exercises in the book, which is a letter that the reader is asked to write to themselves ultimately. It's a love letter to oneself. So Keith, if you're comfortable to do so.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk about this because this is something that I did initially when you sent me the first book. Mm-hmm. And I went back to it again and I tried to write it again. Mm. And it's something that I'm going to have to go and try and write again another time again. Because as an 8-year-old, so the idea is that you write to your 8-year-old self. Mm-hmm. I find it very difficult to see my 8-year-old self. And this is me being... So I decided rather than coming on here today and reading a letter that I kind of felt that I might have written to my 8-year-old self, or like as if I knew I still feel like I have a lot of work there. I grew up in a household which was, domestic abuse is a big problem in this country, and we haven't really addressed it. Now's not the time to get into it, but as an 8-year-old, I learned very early how to protect myself and my emotions, and I became very aware of other people and became a people pleaser. And these are things that I'm learning about myself as I go. So, which is very useful, right? So to try and see that 8-year-old and talk to that 8-year-old is very difficult without sort of almost like I almost feel like it's kind of cliched. What would an 8-year-old like? I find it very hard to see myself. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like I just wanted to preface it with that. Sure. But the things that you asked, and it's a very straightforward thing. And the reason I said all those things is because it's difficult. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to see your 8-year-old self, and it's worth spending time with and thinking about. Yeah. Which is why I think it's like what I said at the beginning is that self-love is very courageous. It is difficult, and that's a really good point, Keith. And it's one that we can tend to shy away from because it seems too hard. Yeah. And yet the alternative is harder. So this is courageous work, if you like, and it's really worth doing. It really is. Yeah. I go back to my son and seeing myself, my son, and all those things. It's all wrapped up in that. Yeah, sure. But this letter, and I just want to be honest because you will find it difficult, but it's definitely worth looking at and working.
Comes with a warning, doesn't it? You will cry, but that's okay.
But I say that as well as a man.
Yeah.
I don't know how many men we have watching today, but it's a very...
My husband's watching.
So, I know that a few men have contacted me and said they will be tuning in. So this is
great.
difficult. I think it's fair to say it's a bit more difficult for men to talk about self-love and loving themselves.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
we are, we are products of our upbringing and our childhood. And,
yes.
The 80s were a strange time in Ireland. So, so you basically instructed to start your letter with "Dear me, ask your 8-year-old self if they were happy or sad." So I've tried to honestly answer the question without really writing a letter, if you know what I mean. So what I wrote was, "I'm happy when I'm with my friends. I'm happy when other people are happy. I'm sad when the people around me are sad or angry. My favourite place to be is other people's houses with my cousins or my friends. My favourite things to do, I love to play, I love to make forts, I like climbing trees, I like drawing, colouring, football, hurling, running. What makes you laugh? I'm a messer, I love to make people laugh. My friends make me laugh." And then it's the things that you would say to your 8-year-old self. You can see, I won't get into the details of what you actually said, the specifics of how you write that, but it's very clear. First of all, I love you. This is me as an adult talking to my 8-year-old self. You now have a family that you love and a home where you are safe. You are healthy, and all of the things you need to be content. I am proud of you, and it's important that you remember that as difficult as it is, people are the most important. Other people. Find people and friends that you can trust and be a good friend to them. You no longer have to be worried or scared. I will look after you. You've grown up to be the big, strong man you wanted. I will take care of you. You are safe and you are loved.
Beautiful, Keith. Thank you so much. It's lovely. I hope you can feel that energy, and that's why I wanted today to be a live event, because I think that it's very different, the energy that you get live. That is really beautiful. And it's actually the heart of what we need to hear are those words: you are safe, you are loved.
Yeah.
And I encourage all of you watching today to say that to yourselves, because the truth is that when you say it to yourself, it resonates. And anyone else can say it to you. The Queen of England could say it. Barack Obama could say it. It doesn't matter. You need to hear your own voice saying that, and you need to hear it often. And that is beautiful, Keith. So thank you so much for sharing that with me.
It is difficult, but I would encourage anybody watching it that's cringing, because I know I would have been.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's okay to cringe.
Right.
Cringe is good. In fact, what we want is, if you would put into the chat function, what would you say to your 8-year-old self? I'd love to hear some of that. So I'm just going to go back to the polls now and see what we have. Sorry, the screen's gone on me there, but just to read the results of the polls. Maybe you could feed them into me here in my ear. Maybe might be good. Here we go. Hang on. They're coming up now. So just to see how many of you have actually been for therapy. So 74% of you are saying that you have been for therapy. Good. And 25% are saying no. Yeah. Okay, and would you feel comfortable telling your friends and family? We have 64% saying yes, well, which is good as well. It's nice to see. And only 36% saying no. Would you feel comfortable telling your work? 23% say yes, and 76% say no. So this is, again, a huge thing. We still have so far to go in terms of work-related, stigma around our mental health, and this is something that I do see so much of in my work. So thank you so much, Keith, for that. I would really encourage you all to let us know the chat. Actually, let's read some of the chat here, actually. Hang on now. Where is my chat on this? Well, there we go. Okay, so let's see. What would you say to your 8-year-old self? I'd love to hear some of those things. We're just trying to bring them up on the screen in front of me here. People are saying, thanks so much, Keith. So honest and very brave. I would agree with that. People are saying the energy is powerful. Thank you, Sharon. Joyce, I've been so tired being a plastic person and hiding from who I really am. So Sharon, that's, you know, really important. You can be yourself. No more hiding, no more plastic. You are just lovely as you are. So this is what it's all about today. Okay, so basically I am going to now, again, what we wanted really was to make it as practical as possible. So for example, writing a letter like that is something that you can do for yourself. You'll admit yourself, Keith, it is a hard thing to do. Very courageous, but really worth it. And I think that is a message that I really want to get through. And it's also what Niall Breslin said when he wrote the foreword for the book. I was really delighted with his foreword because he encourages the reader to engage with it. And he doesn't just say, you know, read this and that's it, magic wand. Not at all. He says, you know, this is basically the scenic route. It's not a shortcut. You put in the effort, you put in the time, and it pays off. And ultimately, like, think of any relationship in your life that you have that you don't put any effort into and is a success. I can't think of any. I ignore my husband and my son and my mother and we get on great. No, you put in the time, you give that effort.
I would see a book like that being like dog-eared and written in and notes, because things change as well. And like, writing that letter a few months ago and then writing it now, it was totally, like, my approach was totally different. So you come back to these exercises. Exactly, that's it. And you as you change over time and challenges, and you can remind yourself of things that you said before, and you can see how you've changed as well. Exactly, yeah, that's it. Beautiful, Keith. Here we had one there, from Sandra, was saying that to her 8-year-old self, she would say that she should believe in herself. I think, it's gone again now on the screen. Not to worry. Listen, there we go. That is the world of technology. So I am going to do a beautiful hypnotherapy session for you now, again, about experiencing it. So Miriam and Keith, do join in. Anyone who is not working, join in and really engage with it. I do encourage you to do that. Step out of that comfort zone and join me on a lovely little journey of self-love. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to, first of all, just start by creating that presence again that we had with Miriam earlier, which was really lovely, that sense of coming into our bodies, coming into the space, and coming into the moment. So to start off with, just keep the breath as deep as you can for the duration of the session. Keep breathing into the belly, because the deeper we breathe, the safer we feel. So keep the breath nice and deep. And what we're going to do to start off with is we're just going to look upwards. So I want you to look up, like as if you're trying to see a plane in the sky and you're looking up. And what we want is that you're starting to get a really focused, narrow awareness. So focus on one spot. Maybe it's a spot on the ceiling or just one particular place, and just keep looking up and keep breathing deep. So at the same time as you look up, you're breathing deep, and allow everything to become really, really narrow. So everything fades, the future fades, the past dissipates. And the only moment that we have is this one right now. So keep looking up. And as you look up, it's going to be natural that your eyes will want to close, that there's a sense of desire to go inwards, a sense of wanting to connect to yourself. So we're going to take that jump, we're going to take that leap. And we're going to connect to the parts of ourselves that we really need to. The parts that can feel forgotten,
the parts that can feel neglected. Let's reach out to those parts today as we take a really deep breath right into the belly. Then hold it at the top in 1, 2, and 3, and just closing the eyes and bringing the gaze completely down and in. So it's almost like we're looking over a balcony and we're looking down towards our own hearts. Keep the breath nice and deep and just follow my voice. I want you to imagine, just imagine, if you choose to imagine, you can imagine that my voice is your voice. And I want you to imagine that my voice, that is your voice, is a voice that is kind, a voice that is strong, and a voice that wants the best for you. A voice that has a desire for you to see the goodness in yourself. So for the duration of this time that we have together, just allow yourself to become completely at ease and relaxed. So your whole body can just start to release. And you can become incredibly present to this moment. As you start to filter your attention away from the busyness of the mind, the thoughts, whatever's going through your mind right now, it really doesn't matter. What matters is the stillness beneath. What matters is the connection with your heart. So let's imagine that there's a door, a portal, that leads directly into this infinite space, which is within your heart. And in your heart, you have courage. In your heart, you have space. You have so much space within your heart. You have so much capacity for love. So I want you to imagine that you enter into that space. And this can be any way that you like, any sort of place or time or space as you start to float through time and space. If you choose to imagine yourself right now connecting deeply into that space within your heart. And as you breathe into the belly and the feelings of safety and relaxation start to become more accessible to you, I want you to bring to mind a person, an energy, a creature, an animal, anything that accepts you just as you are. Can you bring to mind someone maybe from your life right now? Maybe someone who was in your life? Or maybe somebody who will be in your life, but just this idea of an energy that is patient, that can be with you, all of you, without judgment. That if you're tired, it's okay. If you're irritable, it's okay. So that energy just starts to really allow a sense of peace to envelop into every core of your being. That when you're with this presence, this energy, this person, maybe it's a pet, it really doesn't matter, but something that just completely accepts you without any judgment. I want you to imagine turning that all the way around back towards yourself so that you start to give that energy to yourself, to accept yourself, to accept emotions when they arise, thoughts that can be difficult and challenging. And to notice that through this energy of acceptance, there is love. There is no conditions of how it should be or how you wish it were, or any boxes that need to be ticked, any to-do lists, any achievements, any sense of not being good enough. Being good enough for what or good enough for who? Just allow yourself to recognize the goodness that lives within you, that is you, and to accept yourself as you are. And then notice that this energy is something that you get to share with the world. So as you start to accept yourself more, as you really start to connect and accept the parts of yourself that you may find difficult, is it possible that you can do this for others? That when they are tired or they are irritable, can you also offer that incredible gift of love, pure and simple? So just noticing now the energy that we have created here today, and I want you to just imagine capturing it and placing it into your heart so that it's there for you, like you're planting a seed deep into your heart, and remembering to return here often. That this is not just a once-off visit. This is a place that you can come to whenever you choose. That there can be a voice in your mind that says, I'm so proud of you. You are safe and you are loved. So in a moment, I'll count up to 3. We'll open our eyes. I do hope that you've come with me on this lovely journey because I am floating on air right now. So let's all breathe in as deep as we can into the belly. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to open our eyes, and here we are. Back again. Thank you so much for coming with me on that lovely little journey. Namaste. So here we are, back again. Are you floating there, guys? I hope you're floating, because I am floating, full of self-love.
You say mad out of it, but I think that's the right.
Who needs drugs, right? Yeah. Or alcohol or anything. So on that note, what I want us to share right now, today, this moment, is I'd love to hear one thing that you can say with your shoulders back and your head up. I love about myself. One thing that you love about yourself. Miriam, what would you say is something that you can say?
Openly and honestly say.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes back to what you mentioned earlier about that conventional calendar. So something that I think I'm really genuinely proud of is I'm quite if you think about Ayurveda, I'm very Vata, which is you're kind of windy and you can kind of get turned around and tossed around, and I can have a lot of tabs open and I can pulled and dragged very easily if I don't ground and anchor myself daily and be aware of that and keep dropping down into the heart space. But one of the things why I'm saying that is I chose the conventional route for a certain amount of stage in my life, and then I said no more. And even though I was scared shitless, I was in a steady state job, I was a pharmacist, you know, a good job, earning good money, but my soul was dying. And I was in the back kind of hiding away, just giving out medication, but I knew deep down within myself and in my soul that I had a bigger service to give the world. And I kind of said, if I got out from behind the counter and speak about preventative healthcare, speak about lifestyle as medicine, I think I'd be doing a better job, a better service to the world. And since that moment, I think something I'm proud of is I follow my heart and I listen to the calling and I listen to the whispers of my soul, even if it's not the conventional route. And I kind of go down the unconventional route a lot of the time now, but that is something I suppose that I'm proud of. And I think it's because the reason why I mentioned at the start I'm very Vata is I can get overwhelmed quickly, but I've learned to face the fear and do it anyway. And I think that is something that I can I've had a lot of transition, a lot of change in my life recently, from even becoming a mom and all of that. And I anchor myself back into just the heart. What is it? What feels right? What is it that I am called here to do? How can I be of service? And I listen and I follow that. So I think that's something And I can
Gorgeous.
kind of eventually tap my back and
Yes,
say,
you can.
you did it and well done.
Well done. That it does take great courage. Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. So what you love about yourself is your ability to be unconventional, if you like, or to have courage, to be brave enough to follow your heart, essentially.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
just to speak my truths, you know, and oftentimes that's, you know, you're going to be met with challenge, or you're going to be met with a lot of obstacles in terms of people may not like it, or people might not perceive it as, you know, the way they want to hear it. But I truly believe that if it comes from the heart, if it comes from an honest, open space, and you're doing it from love and kindness, well, then it is the right thing to do, and it is the right thing to say, and you have to follow what's in your heart, and you know, there's no point in shrinking yourself or dimming your light to fit into somebody else's story.
That's a huge, to thine own self be true, isn't that right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I think when you're faced with the fear, you know, what if, and you know, it's well, what if it does work out, and it's to come back to, well, how can you be of service to the world, and know that I think my biggest passion and my biggest purpose in life is to let people make manifest their own light, so that they can go after their dreams and they can follow their heart. Because if you're doing that, you're being of service to the world, and people need your light. We need people's light.
we do. We need your light, yes, and we need your light. Thank you, Miriam. It was beautiful.
I think if this was live now, there would have been a big...
I think there would have been, so we'll do it for you. Yay! It's true, you're right. What do you love about yourself, Keith?
I have a nice hat collection.
You do, actually. I've noticed that on Instagram.
I think just honesty, you know, and like not to be... Just honesty, not to dress it up in any way. I find, you know, I've learned how to be honest and vulnerable, and they're kind of, you know, one and the same thing. I like to have genuine, honest conversations with people. I like to look at myself honestly, not in a sort of a critical way, just in a sort of an untangling way and a curious way. But yeah, I mean, like, just without dressing it up, I think I admire my honesty. Right now, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm big into.
Do you find it even a bit uncomfortable when someone asks you, what do I love? We're so not used to it, isn't it? Isn't it true? Like, even in the world that we work in, it's still unusual for us to say, I love this about myself. It seems almost like we can't say that it's like, it's not for us to say it. But yet, who else is it for to say? Because we need to know it first and foremost. Isn't that true, do you think?
Yeah, but it's very interesting, and this is something like I worked on radio, and I did a breakfast show, and I remember people used to ask me the question, like, how's work? Did you enjoy? And I would genuinely not have an answer. Do I enjoy my work?
You didn't know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so. It's everything.
So disconnected.
How's it going? I think it's going okay. I haven't been fired yet. No. Yeah. Like, I wasn't. It was almost like it wasn't part of me. I had no choice in it. Like, there was it's that, you know, you're so disconnected, and it's that same question if someone asks you about yourself or your own life that you just genuinely can't answer, and it's the same thing when someone says, what do you like about yourself?
Yeah, or love. We're going for self-love here. It's not self-like habit now, it's self-love habit. So guys, please put in the chat function what you love about yourself. We'd love to hear some of that. What one thing you can say openly and honestly, and it's really good for boosting your self-esteem, actually. So I'm going to share what I love about myself, and there's a long list, guys. As you know, because I spent the first hour this morning
top 5 things
talking about myself. No, to be honest, I think I would. And again, it's even hard to say. Like, it is hard. Like, I can feel that coming up, you know. But I love the fact that I am kind. I love my kindness, and I think that my son Luca has helped me to see that. So thank you, Luca, for that, because sometimes it does help when that is reflected back to you and you actually can soak it in and say, oh, right, okay, maybe he's right. Maybe I am kind. Yippee. Okay, so basically, yeah, please do let us know what you love about yourself, and maybe we could read some of that out in a moment. We're going to finish up in a moment now as well, and before we do, basically I just want to read a few words. I interviewed different people in the book. And one of the interviews I did was with, I don't know if you've ever heard of Tommy Reichenthal. Well, you probably have through the book. But he is a Holocaust survivor who lives in Ireland since 1959. And I had the honour of meeting Tommy in face-to-face back in January last year, before any of the lockdowns came in. And it was one of those experiences where I just left literally walking on air. It was just so inspirational, and the interview that we did, and it was really connected to do with love. And one of the questions I asked him was, in the camp, was love a driving force of survival? So he was taken into Bergen-Belsen at 9 years of age, and thankfully his immediate family survived, but 35 members of his extended family were murdered. So I'm just going to read one of the things that he said in relation to that question. You know, when I asked him about love, was that something that really helped in terms of survival? And Tommy said, every evening we went to sleep, my mother would sit beside me on the bed, and she would say, you just keep strong. We will get through this. Everything will be all right. We will survive. Because we lived really for the day. You don't live for a month's time, a year's time. This time did not exist. And if we survived the day, we survived. His mother lived until she was 96 years of age. So that really struck me when he told me that, because I thought, my goodness, can you imagine being in that situation? And the strength and the courage that the mother showed to say those things to him every single night when he went to bed. So thank you, Tommy, for that interview. It really, really meant a lot to me. I think it's fair to say that in the past year, we've all been through our challenges. It's certainly been difficult. And I think that what we've got to remember above all is that within the uncertainty, within the difficulties, I don't think I've ever worked as hard in the last year in terms of helping people to stay buoyant, to stay positive, to get through the different, and it's so subjective. I think that's what's really interesting about this period of time, is that there's nobody that's left completely untouched. Some obviously much worse than others, but we can't compare. And I really think it's a mistake to compare emotions in terms of, you know, if I feel something, that's valid, and if you don't, that's fine too. So in terms of how this has touched us all, I think the time is ripe now for us to really connect to ourselves, to love ourselves. You owe it to yourself, we all do, and that will help us to really thrive. I think it's about more than surviving. Thankfully, you know, we're not in a concentration camp. Oh my God, thank God, you can't compare it again. However, we want to thrive. We want to come out of this whole period of time stronger and better than ever before. And I think that the opportunity for that is there. Let's just see here. We have Tatiana says, I love my strength and resilience. Well done, Tatiana. Throughout my life, but especially as an amputee in the last 3 years. Wow, there we go. Amazing. Such strength there. I also am a good listener and holder of space. Well, thank you for listening, Tatiana. That's really, really lovely. We're delighted that you're here with us today. It's really special. On that note, I'm just going to thank some people who were really instrumental in the book, in my lovely little baby book. And it can feel like that in terms of when you write a book. You do put so much into it in terms of, well, there's time, but it's more than that. It's an act of love in itself, I think. So it's never written just by one person. I think that every client I've had the honor to help is in that book. So thank you to all of my clients over the years. Thank you for coming and sharing with me. It's my honor to help you to the best of my ability. The book is dedicated to my mum and dad and Orla. And thank you, Mum, Dad and Orla. Thank you for loving all of me, all of my life. It's such a joy to have you as my family. I want to thank Kieran, my husband. So I'm looking at Keith. Keith's not my husband. That was a bit odd. Thank you, Kieran. Thank you, Kieran. I love you so much. And thank you, Kieran, so much. You have been a huge rock to me, as you always have been. We've been together an awfully, beautifully long time. And I say in the book, actually, that I still get excited when I hear his key at the door, you know, which is a really nice, amazing feeling. However, you're not going out enough. This lockdown, you need to go out and come back in, right? So that I can get excited when I hear the key in the door. Thank you, as I said to my son earlier, Luca, you are the kindest person that I know. So thank you for everything you've brought to my life in the last 13 years. Thank you to Gill Books, which are, I think, the most amazing publishers. I feel absolutely blessed to have you with me on this journey in terms of the support that you give. Thank you. You know who you are, each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I think they're probably the best leading non-fiction publishers in Ireland. So thank you so much for all the amazing work that you do. Thank you to the team here in Circulate. They have been incredible this morning. Like, there's a whole team here working behind the scenes. Amazing people that I've just met. Louise, Alan, Keith, another Keith there. Colin, excuse me. I got it right. And I want to thank Niall Breslin for the foreword. It really meant a lot, and I think it will really encourage the readers to engage with it. So thank you for that, Niall. Thank you to Dermot Whelan for his amazing interview. Great person, great friend. He's got his own book coming out soon, very exciting. Thank you to Roz Purcell for her interview as well, very authentic and helpful. Dr. Rick Hansen, Alison Canavan, and of course, Tommy Reichenthal, who I just mentioned. Thank you so much. So please do remember that if you haven't already, you can order the book today. It'll be posted out very, very quickly. And the competition is still open if you order before close of business today. So, of course, who could I thank the most here today but Keith for being with us, for his sharing his vulnerability. And I'm just really, really honoured. Thank you so much, Keith, for being here. It really, really means a lot. Thank you. You can follow Keith on Instagram and his podcast, the Keith Walsh podcast. Please do subscribe to it. It's fantastic. Really, really funny. Keith always makes me laugh.
I just want to say that you might be preaching to the converted here. You've got a lot of fans online watching this, so I would encourage, this is something you should buy as a gift to somebody, because maybe the people that need this the most might not be watching today, so I think that's important as well.
Thank you, Keith. Very good point, yes. And of course, thank you to Miriam. Absolutely beautiful movement workshop. Thank you so much, Miriam. Your energy, you are all of those things. You are self-love in action, Miriam. You really are. Like, you totally exude that energy. And I'm just so grateful to you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And on behalf of, I think, both Keith and I, it's been an honour, it's been a pleasure, and wishing you so much love and blessings with your book. And I know it's going to help so many people. So well done, you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well done. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. And lots of love and self-love.